And we're back on the Jew function. Seth, how are you?
I'm good. Excited for today. Excited for our guest today. I feel like our guest today built his life where he's like in the zone on our topic.
It's kind of like how anti-Semites are in the zone because they only focus on Jews and right how, how to. I wish we shared some of that single-mindedness. This past week, more stuff is happening. More people are expressing their dismay and just the general atmosphere where it's okay to bash Jews in the media and wherever that thing and I my feeling is that people need to be more outraged or at least more just asking more why is this still a thing, kind of like what we're trying to do, but I think every person has to do it. You can't just say, well, it's not really about me, it's not. This is about all of us. So I hope our guest today can also shed light on it.
I wake up in the morning loving my job.
He's a Jewish and Israeli influencer. He's a human rights activist.
We're concerned it's actually getting to a worse place.
What I'm curious, what do people think Israel is?
I don't need to convince you. Just come to Israel and see the truth for yourself.
Forget about arrogant. If you don't even know about it, really, it's not clear what that thing is.
We should be celebrated. It's like, hey, why don't you celebrate me?
I'm asking, who cares? I mean, aren't they American citizens?
We want that all humanity would be together.
Let's meet Hanania Naftali. Hanania.
The Jews saw them all, beat them all, and is now what he always was. All things are mortal but the Jew. All other forces pass, but he remains. What is the secret of his immortality?
I was born and raised in Israel, and I actually never left Israel for over a month. So, I mean, I'm here in New York City for only 3 days, but I have to say that seeing what's happening, how Israel is being portrayed on social media and on the media, and, then it resonates to the streets, it really made me angry. I was irritated to see how my country is being treated. So I told myself, okay, I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna start and learn English. I'll put my shyness aside and I'll start and tell the story of Israel. So it's not an easy task, but I don't see it as a hard job because I see it as like it's living or not living for me. So I wake up in the morning loving my job. So yeah, I think this is the best way to put this.
Okay, and what is there to explain? I don't know. I thought it was all very clear. What's to
Well,
explain?
that's a question that we all ask ourselves. I spoke with an Indonesian friend of mine, a journalist, the other day in Jerusalem. We sat down and I filmed a quick video with her. And I asked her, so what's up with Indonesia and Israel? Why do Indonesians hate Jews? Because we were never at war. It's not like we were Facebook friends and then we unfriended each other and now we're, haters and whatnot. We never had any ties. And she told me that, Jews are the number 3 in the most hated groups of minorities in Indonesia after LGTB and communists. And I think that part of it is misinformation. People don't know what's happening in Israel on the ground, and it's very easy to portray a story in a way that serves your agenda, and that comes to Jews as well. Because nowadays you have so many ways you can fake scenes and fake facts. So it's to me, it was interesting to realize that, hey, people don't know what I'm seeing on the ground in Israel, and they hate the Jewish state, thinking that it's one thing, while it is actually the complete other thing. So, yeah.
What I'm curious. What do people think Israel is? When you say people think it's one thing, like what do they think it is?
Well, the number one accusation is that Israel is an apartheid state, that we occupy Palestinian land, that we oppress a minority, and therefore, maybe that's how they find a way to justify oppressing or hating Jews, saying that what Hitler did to the Jews, you do to the Palestinians today. And that is completely, off the reality. It's completely the opposite. So usually what I tell people is just, I don't need to convince you, if with facts. Just come to Israel and see the truth for yourself, with your own eyes. See what I'm seeing, and that's, I think, the best possible way to to counter this anti-Israel, anti-Jewish hatred. But I mean, of course, usually these people will not come to Israel or sit down with a Jew to actually converse with them, because I think that what fuels their hatred is not the need to find the truth, but they just follow this tyranny of relevance, I guess.
This is a good point. I mean, there are a lot of bad things that happen around the world in many other countries, and yet I don't see other countries needing to explain themselves. Just to not to compare, but Russia just invaded another country, full on, and one democracy seemingly invading another democracy, seemingly under some pretense, doing some horrific things, and it's getting the cold shoulder from the world. But even that, I don't feel like Russians in New York. I was there a few months ago. I don't feel Russians in New York are walking around feeling like, oh, they should know I'm Russian. It's like, whatever, There's some country doing so, but Jews in New York is completely the opposite, right? And Israel having to explain itself. What's up with that?
And for example, in Iran, if someone gets hung for being gay, if you meet an Iranian in the street in New York also, you would be like, oh, isn't it cool? We can talk to each other here. There's no problem. You don't immediately associate this guy with some dictatorship somewhere else. But it seems like with us, they blame all of us for the sins of one, or the perceived sins of one, or something like that.
We're judged as a collective. We just came off another talk with this great girl. We're judged as a collective. What's up with that?
Yeah, I mean, that's, moreover, I think that it's insane that we need to explain ourselves when the terror group Hamas is firing over 4,000 rockets at our families. It's me, it's you, it could be the listeners. So, to me, that's just mind-blowing, the fact that I need to explain why am I running to a bomb shelter under
it seems irrational, right? I mean, and also you seem excited about your job, but to me it seems like you're standing against a giant wall, an iron wall, that, like, how am I gonna mount this? How are we, if they're firing 1,000 rockets? And this isn't about politics, and we really don't want to get into politics. We want to get to the heart of this thing, because it's not about what's happening in 2022, because similar things happened in 1492. I mean, in 1938 and 1492, and for the last several thousand years. But it's interesting to talk the details. It seems so irrational, right?
Yeah.
Like,
and I have to add to that, just before our meeting, I spoke with my brother. He studies in Columbus, Ohio. So he lives in the United States. And I wanted to get his opinion on anti-Semitism, because I know that he's not the kind of people that exaggerates. We all have these friends that are like, you won't believe what just happened. This bus almost killed me. And it's just like, he stopped maybe close to you and, you exaggerate. So I wanted to get his take on anti-Semitism. And since, he studies at the university there, and he told me, Hanania, it is a huge problem. It is a huge problem. And on top of that, he said the American authorities, they don't take a fierce approach. They're like, to his take on that was that they're saying, we're all together. Let us just, love and tolerate. And but dude, what are you doing when they're not tolerating? What are you doing when they draw graffiti, swastika, and chant death to Jews in one way or the other. There is a deeper problem here, and you mentioned them not saying that against the Russians or the Iranians. I think that has a lot to do with perhaps the fact that Jews have maintained their ethnic, cultural traditions and religion, and because being a Jew it doesn't matter if you're religious or not. You're a Jew, but we have strived for centuries to preserve who we are. And I think that in their eyes, obviously being successful in what we do, that's how they see it. So they say, oh, so it's them and us. It's us Americans and them the Jews. So they don't belong here in America because they look, maybe they look American, but they practice a very different tradition. And again, I don't see myself as an expert in solving anti-Semitism. I'm just this Israeli Jewish guy that is not okay with what's happening. And I want to do whatever I can to make sure that our children will be able to live in a safer world. Because again, I think that this current nowadays anti-Semitism that we're seeing, that does not intimidate me. What does intimidate me is what the future will be if we don't stop this today. So it's a real problem that we have. And what I do, as someone that advocates for the Jewish people and on behalf of Israel on social media, I think that, and again, perhaps we're going to elaborate on that, but I just want to tell the story of myself. Of the people of Israel and the Jewish people that were just normal human beings. I wake up in the morning, I have my coffee, I go to work, I take the bus, the subway, whatever that is, and I want to come back home to my family, to my fiance, and to know that I'm not being stabbed or hated for wearing a kippah or for wearing a Star of David necklace. We're just normal human beings.
But are we?
Of course we are. I don't think that someone is better than the other. And I think that we are humans and we're citizens of planet Earth. And we have one look, if you look at different religions, they all teach you how to improve your self-being and how to basically tolerate others and get closer to God. But then if we look at the facts on the ground, it is not happening. This is a deeper question. What fuels this hatred? Because then, because you have Kanye West that says, oh, we have more Jewish executives on Hollywood and stuff like that. I'm asking, who cares? I mean, aren't they American citizens? So are you going to say, oh, there are 50% of American, 60% of American athletes, they're Black Americans. This is a huge problem. Are you kidding me? This is insane.
But he's not saying it. But that's exactly our point.
He's not saying it.
He's not saying it. No one's saying that.
Yeah. And
so why are they saying it about us?
I think that's a question that we all ask ourselves, because look, I didn't grow up in the diaspora. I grew up in the Jewish nation, where the biggest problem could be being stabbed because you live in Israel. But obviously it's not very funny. But so I didn't experience like anti-Semitism, physical anti-Semitism, like other Jews in the diaspora. I don't know how it feels to have to conceal your Jewish identity, but I know that when I travel abroad, it is a huge problem when Jewish friends of mine who live in the diaspora, and also people who work in certain places, they recommend me to conceal my Jewish identity and to put my Star of David necklace inside of my shirt. It almost feels like Jews are the only ethnic group that is advised to conceal who they are.
Of course.
No, probably after 9/11, it wasn't fun to wear a turban around New York, um, but we do have an issue, and it's scary. It can get really scary, and we're concerned it's actually getting to a worse place. But we're also seeing that it's not just now, and I know I said it already before, but this problem um, keeps, like, it comes out and then it goes back in a little bit, and it comes, like, right after World War II, it kind of cooled off a little bit, and now it's coming back out again. So
It never
if
disappeared.
it never
Nope.
disappeared. So if I have, we have something here. I don't think you have it in Israel in the desert. We have something here called poison ivy. You get near a certain plant and it gets on your skin and it makes you itch. So there's two things. One thing is you can get cream to make it stop itching today. The second thing is you have to understand how you get it so that you don't infect, get it, you don't go close to it and do it. So the one thing is, on the one hand, we have to do things today. We have to put the cream on. We have to deal with the problem. If we have to do certain things in the public discourse, we have to do it. The other thing is we have to understand what is causing this eruption to happen.
I don't think that we're sticking our fingers at people's faces and telling them we're more successful than you are. We are better than you are, because to the average anti-Semite comments that we see on social media, that's what they want to put emphasis on, that we are different because we're more successful, we're making more money, we control the banks and the economy, and it goes on and on.
Did you get
But
your check this
then
month?
still waiting on that.
The
But
royalties on controlling the world.
yes, but I mean, just like you said, there's this current problem that we have to fix right now. But then it's far deeper, because anti-Semitism existed, since the beginning of this, you know, of the Jewish people. It existed. We have had enemies that have always tried to destroy us. And in one of my conversations with this amazing Holocaust survivor called Walter Bingham, he fought on behalf of the British Army in the Normandy landing, and he did so many incredible stuff. So I asked him, first of all, what keeps your smile up after everything that you've been through? And secondly, I asked him, what do you think that, what keeps the Jewish nation alive? And first of all, number one, he said, what keeps him alive and his smile up is being busy, doing good stuff that he loves. But secondly, to the more interesting part is he said that, look, so many empires have tried time and time again to annihilate the Jewish people, be it the Byzantine Empire, the Romans, and so many other empires. And what he said is that, they all tried to annihilate the Jewish people, like really annihilate us. And here we are, standing at their graveyard, victorious. So it's still a problem that nowadays we're seeing these hate crimes and the surge in verbal hate, but also physical hate. But I mean, he suggests, and I agree with that. If we enter the spiritual realm, is that there is a God that stands with the Jewish people. There's some divine control on this earth that because nothing else, in my opinion, can explain why did the Jews survive everything, including the more of the modern history battles, like the 6 Day War, where several armies came against the small new Jewish
Okay,
country.
so let me challenge you on that. Let's just instead of God, say nature, so it's easier for
Mhm.
the non-religious listeners to take that in. We say there is we're part of a system, a big system with bigger forces than us. Let's ask the humble question. Why does this system ensure that we survive? That's one thing,
Well,
and then why, if we survive,
Is it so damn painful to go through these processes?
Well, yeah. I mean, why do we keep
Yeah.
kind of getting slaughtered only to be to survive? Like, what's happening? What cycle did we not break out of? Maybe that's the question. Not
I
for our
think
own
hate
merit, but
speech. Yeah, because look, and again, it's a big slogan to say that the Holocaust didn't start with the gas chambers, but rather with hate speech. It's not like Hitler
can I
immediately
interject?
start.
I'm sorry. Can I
Yeah.
interject? When you say hate speech, you probably mean non-Jews towards Jews, right?
Yes,
But what
yes.
about the hate speech between Jews and Jews? Do you know
So
that
that's something that I
the
wanted to keep to
animosity?
the end.
The
That's something that I
animosity.
wanted to keep to the end, so
Oh,
that
okay.
then I can say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm very, I have to run, so we'll keep it for the next episode.
It's good.
But no, actually,
What a
it's
professional.
so yeah. I mean, you have to. I mean, I've been working, with around politicians in Israel for a while, but I'm kidding. It's actually the bigger problem that
Oh,
I think that it's within ourselves. And
okay.
I mean, obviously, I don't want to say that we are responsible for anti-Semitism against us, because this is incorrect by all means. I mean, that's what the Iranian regime is saying. That's what the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas suggests, that Jews are responsible for anti-Semitism. So it's like, oh, I'm responsible for the hate against me because I'm existing.
Let's
Um,
hold on, hold on, hold on. Let's. I want to just let's say that just to entertain this notion, okay? But
mhm.
not because we exist. That's not a reason in and of itself. It's like whatever. That is a juvenile approach. But let's say that there is something within our power to do that we're not doing. Could that be, or are we too arrogant to think that
Forget
maybe?
about arrogance. Forget about arrogance.
No, I
You don't,
mean,
if you don't even know about it, really, it's not clear what that thing is. Maybe.
no. But even to I mean, I'm saying even to have the humility to say,
Mhm.
are you married, Hanania?
I'm about to. We're getting married in
Oh,
January. Yeah.
okay, hey, perfect. So you're gonna find out very soon that when people get married, two egoists get married, they start to have louder conversations sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And it's very easy to see all the faults in the other, but harder to see the faults in yourself, right? It's kind of, and so when you're together, it's very easy because she can see all your faults and you shouldn't see any of hers. But the point is that there's always someone else who's helping you, who's pointing to you the things that you could improve on, right? Is it so outlandish to think that maybe in the relationship with the world is maybe trying to point to something that we're not willing to even acknowledge? That's a
Mm.
question that we want to ask here. Because on the face of it, right, Nobel Prize winners, startups, technology, this, that, the other, they should be. We have a guest who's going to come here in a couple of weeks. He wrote, we should be celebrated. It's like, hey, why don't you celebrate me? He's like, fuck off, wait, I want to kill you. I don't want to celebrate you. So something is off, right? Again, this double.
Yeah.
Can we ask what is off about us for a second? Just entertain that concept.
I hope you're not suggesting that Jews are not perfect, of course, but
Don't
obviously
let my
I'm
mom
joking
hear.
because show me one country that is perfect, one nation that
There
has
isn't. There
no
isn't.
imperfections.
There isn't. But what if
Of
we?
course.
But what if we are somehow supposed to be leading the way to a
So
better existence?
I think that obviously with my work on be it on social media or when I meet with leaders, governors, politicians, and all that, I don't ask people to celebrate us or to love us. All and again, I'm not actually trying to convince them to love Jews, because I think that the best way is for them to understand that we're normal people trying to live our lives. We're not trying to poke people in our success at people's faces, because it is a thing within the hasbara world, call it whatever you want, that people are trying to always say why you should love us, why we are better than everyone else. And
Yeah, we
obviously
call it the
obviously it's
mansplaining
it's
department. We call it the mansplaining department. Let me
And
explain to
and
you
you
why
know,
you should like us.
true. And to some extent, maybe that's definitely reasonable. I mean, every country is very proud of their successes and their innovation and whatnot. But then again, what you're asking is something that is so deep that I'm also asking myself this question. But then if we go back to the unity thing, I think that there is great division among Jews worldwide. Jews in Israel think that Jews in the diaspora they are against them, and then they come with accusations against them. Reform Jews against Orthodox Jews, and the list goes on. And that actually breaks my heart. I'm like sitting on the fence and looking at this happening. It's just, I mean, I'm not really sitting on the fence because I'm trying to change that, but it's just um it shouldn't be like this, because we have so many people around us that are literally trying to destroy the Jewish nation, be the BDS movement that wants to isolate Israel economically, or actually, because um, Seth, maybe you will agree with me that there are also different types of anti-Semites: those that follow the trend, and those that actually want to carry out what they are saying. And among those are actually the ones that carry out these attacks. We've seen the Hanukkah stabbing attack that occurred in New York City, and Brooklyn is filled with hate crimes against Jews. The list goes on. Los Angeles just reported that I think over 70% of their hate crimes in 2021, were directed against
Yeah.
the Jews. That are, mind you, 2.4% of the entire U.S. population, if I'm not wrong. So I mean, we have a problem. That's for sure. Now, how to solve it? I think that no one is an expert in anti-Semitism, because we have this, this problem exists. Because if you're an expert in plumbing, so you solve the problem.
Fix the problem.
Yeah. So I think that we all kind of ask ourselves this question and try to do our best. And this is what I love about our Jewish world, is that it's pluralistic, it's diverse, and the way I see it, when I do my thing, is that I'm shooting arrows at the target, and the more diverse it is, the better, because something is going to land on the right hearts and minds, and that's what we want to do. Because maybe I will not be appealing to someone who is, I don't know, very liberal, LGTB, but maybe someone who is LGTB will land on the heart and mind of the right person. So I'm not saying that we need to, I'm not suggesting that we have to have everybody to love us. In the same way that not all people love China, not all people love the Chinese people, the Han people, and so on. But there is a growing trend of hating Jews, and this is a bigger problem than not liking China.
Let's granted, and I have to say, the facts kind of. The facts are the facts. It is a fact that we yield disproportionate attention, disproportionate influence. It also, since you're Israeli and I'm Israeli, we know that the state of Israel, this tiny state in the middle of the Middle East, surrounded with all those other countries and all that, what happens here can destabilize the whole region, and then in turn the whole world. I mean, Putin can start a war with Ukraine, and like hundreds of thousands of people die, and the world is like, whatever, just get the grain over here, right? But if something happens here,
about gas prices.
Yeah, exactly. but if something happens here, it could literally destabilize the whole world.
Destabilize the World Cup almost.
Right. This can spark a holy war, a jihad, Armageddon, right? So in a way, like it or not, we're thrust into this position where we're just
trying to be normal people, living our normal lives,
right?
like everyone else. But for some reason, everything we do has exponential consequences.
So people do look at us with greater scrutiny. People do apply a double standard to us because they somehow feel that the fate of the world maybe depends on this tiny state and this 0.2% of the population of the world. So don't even need to get spiritual here or biblical, because we can. But just just geopolitically speaking, this is a fact. Now, you can say, okay, so what would stabilize this country, right? What would stabilize here and somehow, make peace and all that? Fine, okay. How will we be able to even get to that position of making peace? We don't have even peace amongst ourselves. We ourselves in Israel, 8 million people, almost 9, right? We don't have peace. So
That
maybe
hits right on the spot. Yeah.
so maybe if we manage to first create peace here amongst ourselves, above the differences. I don't want to agree with everyone. Screw that. But just I want to have the ideal of peace, shalom, right? From the word shalem, right? Whole. Let's have this wholeness here in Israel, and then with the rest of the Jews, to play along with that.
I'm an outsider. I've always lived in the States, but one way it seems that this happens, one alternative, the less good alternative is when the war, when they attack, when the enemies attack, then we do unite. But so I guess that's one option. Everyone gets together and we're brothers and sisters together, but we would like to somehow solve this without, because the next version would be way more brutal. I mean, the technology level, the communication level, the coordination level is so sophisticated. So
every Israeli that I speak to resonates exactly what you two said, that we don't have peace amongst ourselves. And you go out to the street and you could be stabbed, not by your enemy, but someone on the road with this road rage, anger issues, and it's a huge problem. Now I'm not saying that it's only in Israel. There is road rage, everywhere you can, there is this genre on YouTube, road rage. You can see people fighting on the road. But maybe an interesting take is that Israel is a country that, I mean, obviously, it's the one country of the Jewish people that we're a majority there, and it is a capital and holy land, not just to Jews but to Muslims and to Christians. And when I speak with Christians, they tell me, Israel is not just your holy land, it is my holy land, because Jesus walked on water there, he performed miracles there. And Muslims, they, again, to them, they're saying it's not just your holy land, it is my holy land as well. The Al-Aqsa Mosque is the third holiest site in Islam, and they, it is believed in the Quran.
Of prayer to everyone.
Indeed, and it is something that perhaps this helps fuel criticism and even borderlines later with anti-Semitism of how the Jews manage their holiest site or their holiest land, because this is something that no other nation has, that that it is both holiest to Jews, Christians, and Muslims, and also Baha'i and Druze. So it is a country that is holy to so many people that perhaps when they and again, I'm not advocating or defending those that criticize us, but perhaps this is their what helps them or fuels their hate. You dismanage this, or you're not doing it the right way, so I'm just going to hate your entire people. Now, this is just one take. Obviously, I don't think it explains anti-Semitism, but this is just an interesting thought that I think has something to do with this growing hate that we're witnessing.
The thing that we I wanted to ask you this in the beginning, but we didn't. We kind of moved past it, but maybe we should circle back to it. How would you define what is a Jew? Who or what is a Jew to an alien?
Hmm. That's an interesting question. I think that what I would say is, first of all, just a normal human being, just like every other person that you see in the street, but they have a different faith and different um, cultures that define their, who they are. So I mean, look, our whole world is built on different groups, and if you look at human nature, it is in our nature to want to join a group, to want to be part of something. So it is not an excuse to hate Jews only because they are part of a group, because you have all kinds of groups. Humans want to feel like they're part of something. And obviously, on when it's faith related, traditional related, so it's on a even deeper level. So if an alien would come to planet Earth, what I would say is, as simple as that. You see these people, amazing people, not good than any other people. We are humans that have different faith, and yeah, because I mean, we should ask ourselves this question: do we want a special treatment? And I'll elaborate on that. I'll say even more. When I see signs that say Black Lives Matter, I don't agree with that. When I see Jewish lives matter, I also don't agree with that, because all lives matter. We don't want a special treatment. Um, every human should be treated with dignity, with respect, and that's what I'm working for. And unfortunately, just like you, Seth, said, coming back to your thought about applying cream on this poison ivy, but then again uprooting this poison ivy, it's two different problems. So what I'm trying to do is to uproot this roots of hatred that I think that. And again, when I approach this anti-Semitism issue, I see, I divide the people into three groups. You have people that hate us, people that love us, and the 80% that are on the fence, that just don't care. And we want to give them information and facts so that they can make up their minds.
You know what,
Hanan,
oh, you had a question, Seth?
yeah, I want to say, first of all, Hanani, I'm super moved by what you just said. Um, it's really heartwarming uh, to hear somebody, and you're like a Jewish advocate and against anti-Semitism, but to speak that we want that all humanity, everyone would be together and it would be good for everyone. This is incredible. This is the ideal. So, and I'm trying to think, well, what can I say? Where do what's some kind of angle on this? And I'm wondering then, I go out and my neighbor goes out and both our kids play soccer together and we both have a barbecue afterwards and we both come home to sleep at the end of the day. It's equal. But I'm wondering to myself, then maybe what we're talking about, maybe what's required is just an additional responsibility. Nobody treat me any different, treat me exactly like my neighbors. But when everyone else goes to sleep, I stay up later working for the good of all humanity. Treat us all the same, but what's different then is maybe my additional responsibility. Nobody has to see it. I don't look different than anyone else. Our kids go to the same school. Everything is the same. But when everyone else goes to sleep, I stay up.
But Seth, nobody wants more responsibility. What's up with you? We just want to be like everyone. We want to take some time off
No,
and
Uh,
just.
I actually love what Seth said, but then I'm that then people would come and say, well, what you're trying to do is to establish a one world order, that there's one religion, one governance. And I want to say that while I'm saying that, I do want to stress the fact that we should celebrate cultures. We should, like, when you send your kids to school, you don't want to tell them, well, we want to look like everybody else, so take your kippas off. Look like everybody else. No, we want to celebrate different cultures and different traditions, but But I mean, then again, everybody should be treated with dignity and respect. I mean, just yesterday I went to this Chinese restaurant, and I had a nice dinner there and ate food that I never ate before, and it was just amazing. I don't want this to stop. I want to be able to, if I want to celebrate the Indian culture, to be able to do that. For people that want to celebrate our Jewish traditions and our Jewish culture, they should be able to do that. So what I love about our world is that it's very, I don't know if it is the right word to use, polarized and very, very diverse. And yet humanity should treat everybody equally.
And no, and we're with you. We're not promoting uniformity. We're promoting unity.
Oh yeah.
That's a whole different take. And speaking of unity, I mean, the thing that we that we go back to in history, where we take a lot of many of our clues is, you look at the Jewish history. Every time the Jews were more or less together, it was fine. And every time before a pogrom or an expulsion or some other calamity, Jews were temples. Jews were just killing each other. I mean, if it happened once or twice, I'd say, okay, coincidence. But come on,
I
3,500 years, man. It's like, what? We can't detect the pattern. I mean, I don't get it. What? Why is it so hard to accept that we need to freaking unite? We need to love each other despite our differences, keep our differences, unite above that, and move on, because it's somehow nature, this force, which we will not name here, is trying to maybe, listen, you got to do this. If you don't do it, we'll try it again and again and again. I mean, is it so outlandish to think that this is what we need to do?
And again, I love to use my personal stories to put emphasis on that, because I think we can all share stories and information, but stories are powerful in particular. I fought Hamas inside the Gaza Strip. I was in the Israeli army. I was in the armored corps, so in a tank. And back in that time, 2014, there was they aired on television names of soldiers that fell in battle, and I was in battle, so I didn't watch the news. I didn't have my phone with me, but I remember that after the operation, I was sent back home because I wanted to go to a funeral of my friend that died in battle. So I walked, on the platform of the train, and I was with my uniforms. And now, when you're in the tanks, so you have these special uniforms that kind of look like you're a pilot, but it's for tanks. So I'm walking with that. These overalls. So I'm walking with that on the train, and people are just astonished. They are saying, "Wow, he came." I heard a little girl saying to her mother, "Oh wow, did he come from there?" And you could feel that people look up to you, that people admire you for not like they don't know who I am, but just for the title that you carry with you, that you defend Israel, that there is a war, and that we have one enemy. So coming from that to what we see today, that I don't know if for those of us that follow the news in Israel, there is a huge problem right now of attacks on the road. I think that a recent poll said that over 70% of Israelis, they had experienced some kind of violence, be it verbal or physical, and so to see this contrast of just like you said, when there is a war, we are united, and it's just like almost feels like heaven that we're one people, one family name. It feels like that. But once our enemies are defeated, we become our own enemies, and I don't know what to do with that. I'm trying to, as the average Israeli, I'm trying to spread love, and to smile to one another, and I always say, when smiling costs you nothing, and being a little bit more patient, you're not gonna die if you get somewhere a minute later.
That feeling that you had on that train, and the feeling of the little girl, and the feeling in the air when that happens. I haven't been in that kind of situation like you, but I know that feeling in the air when something, it's almost like magic in the air. There's some kind of, we're all on some wavelength. We need to figure out how to do that without having to kill or be killed.
Right.
That's what we need to
Yeah.
figure out.
And we have to do it quickly, by the way. We don't have much time. I don't think so. I mean, you look at the UN resolutions, you look at the media. Look, you're a great guy, but one of you, we need like a million of you to change public opinion in the world. You need to do what you're doing, but this clearly is only one little, arrow. We need,
or who knows who you reach. I mean, maybe.
no, for sure. I'm not, God forbid, discrediting your efforts. I'm just saying what we need is we need to all get recruited, basically, but to a
By all
war,
means.
on our own terrible egoistic nature, which is killing us, which is separating us. This constant thing, we need to somehow wage war on that. As you say, carry the title, say I fought for this, but for what? I fought for the love that we want to do between us. That's what I fought for.
Absolutely, because I, what I do is, sure. So maybe I have over 2 million people that follow my work on social media, and I meet with interesting people. But then again, if we're not united, that's just a drop in the ocean. So I think that the way we need to treat it is that the Jewish nation and the people of Israel were this one body, and we have different roles, but we should all fulfill our role in doing something. So that it wouldn't be just a drop in the ocean, because our enemies are numerous.
Hanania, we both are super glad to have this opportunity to speak to you, and really hope that your influence through all of those people who are paying attention to what you're doing, that because if you can communicate this point to them, and I mentioned this a few times, that in New York, if you walk by a street performer and there's like nobody watching, then people keep going. But if you walk by a street performer and there's 10 people watching, another 10 will check it out. And if there's 20 there, then like 50 more will come. So if you can just kind of get this motion happening, if out of those 2 million, if half of them, if 1 million each take 10% of what you're saying, and then it brings another 3 million after that, and something like that, then hopefully we can do this without there needing to be another war. We are so happy. We hope that we'll be able to talk to you again. We wish you tons of luck in what you're doing, and that we can bring together all kind of people, Jews, non-Jews, who are interested in this, who want to see a better world for everyone. This is the place where we're making our action. Everyone is making their action in a special, in their unique place in the human system. This is where we found our place to step on the pedal. Please check us out, everyone who's watching at the Jew Function and all of the places on social. Check out Hanania. Give us a plug. Where should people check you out if they're not already?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for allowing me to converse with you. I think that this is one of the podcasts that I really enjoyed, sitting down and chatting, having a deep conversation. And but by all means, I mean, you can just look me up, Hanania Naftali. I believe in being everywhere so that the truth will get out, everywhere. So, on whichever platform you choose, just type my name, you'll be able to find me, H Naftali. So again, thank you very much. Awesome.
Thank you so much for being on the Jew Function. Everyone else, like, share, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you on the podcast next time on the way to finding our function in the world. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.